So how often do car accidents go to court? One of the things is that when people get into accidents or anything, there's one apprehension just calling an attorney because you feel like it's going to be expensive, which I know here there's no risk. Like you don't win, you don't pay.
There's super zero risk. I mean, I think it's worth repeating that when you call a contingency law firm for a car wreck or a truck wreck that was no fault of yours, you will not pay us unless we win your case. You won't even pay your medical providers that we recommend.
And we've talked about that.
Yeah, you're not going to do it because why? If we don't win your case, they're okay with us saying, all right, we lost that one. Why? Because we don't lose too many. And so it helps, right? So once you get our team going, and we're going to win for you. That's our goal.
But court always sounds expensive. So can you talk about how this whole car injury thing works?
Sure. So, right after an accident happens, right after a car crash happens, that was no fault of your own, there will be an insurance industry behind the at-fault driver's insurance policy, and behind that driver, really. And all they'll do is literally work to minimize how much they pay you. I mean, that's their full-time job, and they do an amazing job of making sure that they pay as little as they can because they answer to shareholders. They're going to pretend to be your friends, but they're not. They're never going to pay you. You're never going to maximize your recovery if you let that at-fault driver's insurance company talk you in to you thinking that they're your friends. That they sound like they're going to take care of me. They're never going to take care of you. It doesn't happen. So what's court mean? It can be very intimidating. Right after an accident, you're not in court. It's a claim process. And many people are able, especially we're able to resolve probably 30, 40% of our cases in the claims process, that they will actually agree to pay us what we believe is a fair amount for our clients. All right. And we maximize every client's recovery.
And you know what's fair too, because that's the thing is $2,000.
Yeah.
I could say, well, that's good. Okay. And you're like, hey,
that's
Brandon,
nothing.
you could get 50.
Yeah, exactly. You could get 50. Yeah, you could.
Well, I mean, the number, I'm just, right.
So that is important, and you won't know that right away, right? So you've got this claims process, and that generally takes care of your property damage. At some point, you're going to get your car fixed, and you're going to get it back. That claims process is generally open while you're getting medical treatment. And the main reason that it's still open and we haven't really filed a lawsuit yet is because we don't know the extent of your injuries. And that could take a month, it could take 3 months, it could take 10 months, it could take a year. We just won't know until all the doctors have confirmed for us that you're as healthy as you're ever going to get, or you need surgery or injections or pain management for the rest of your life, in which case, game changer.
Well, I just want to jump in because somebody this may be their first episode. And in order to get all those doctors, I just want to mention, you can go back to other episodes, but that does not cost you money.
It does not. Our law firm has been doing this work for 31 years. We have relationships with the same hospitals, the same healthcare facilities, the same physical therapists, the same chiropractors that every health insurance company has relationships with, damn near all of them, right? And so if we refer you, no copays, no deductibles, and if we don't win your case, you don't owe them anything. So that's super important.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, super important.
But going back to the court thing.
So let's get back to the court thing. So we've got this claims process going, right? We will get your car fixed. That won't require a lawsuit for sure. And we're going to make sure that you're seeing some healthcare providers, and we're going to make sure that you're getting physically better. And that could include a mental and emotional component. Depends. I mean, lots of people have PTSD after a car crash. They don't even want to get back in a car, let alone drive one. If they're terrified. So you might need some help getting over that hurdle. But before we get you the last piece of a maximum recovery, which is the financial piece, we make an evaluation on whether or not your case is one that we can resolve without a lawsuit or that we should file a lawsuit. And more than likely, we're going to make a decision that we should file a lawsuit. And that shouldn't scare you, because again, it won't cost you any more. We're in the same place we were, whether it was a claim or a lawsuit. The lawsuit, it does get a little more serious. But look, the truth of the matter is that so few cases actually go to the jury. Like, everyone's familiar with, like, oh, look, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were in this big lawsuit, and the jury decided that Johnny Depp was right. And yeah, that happens. But it's like 1 out of 10,000 times do we actually get to a jury telling us what our client's case is worth. And the reason it's so unlikely to happen is, one, the courts are super busy. And two, when you hire us and we keep your case, we're going to get you the maximum dollar before we actually need to ask a jury what that number is. And so it requires a little patience. The courts aren't fast. No, it can take anywhere from a year to even 2 years sometimes. Depends on the courts, how busy they are, where they're at. The bigger cities are super busy. Smaller cities,
but they might not even, like, very small percentage even go to court. Like, aren't they going to settle before this?
So it's funny, because going to court to lawyers means filing a lawsuit, but going to court for non-lawyers often means, like, am I going to have to stand in front of the judge? Is the judge going to be judging me? No, very, very, very rarely does that really have to happen. But on occasion, we decide it needs to happen. And so for some cases, we say, no, please. We tell our clients, trust us. We're going to get more money by asking the jury. So hang in there, be patient. Let this whole thing go to the very finish line. But a lot of times, just getting to the starting line, filing the lawsuit, is enough for the insurance company to go, oh gosh, that damn Angel Reyes and the Reyes Brown Riley team has filed another lawsuit. We got to pay them. And they're not paying us. They're paying our clients. And we put our clients first, right? And so if we think they've paid our clients enough money, and that's after, of course, we get paid and the medical providers get paid, then we'll recommend to the client to take the money. And so sometimes that's like 30 days after we file a lawsuit. Sometimes it's a few months later. Sometimes they want to,
One thing I want to say here, and we actually haven't touched on this, when we say the client doesn't pay, the client doesn't pay the money up front, but actually the client does pay, because when the settlement happens,
right,
whether that's in court or out of court, or your law firm just basically does it, the expenses do come out. That's really the point here. That other party paid.
That's exactly right. And so, yes, if we're almost always successful. 99% of the time we're successful. And when we're successful, that means we've successfully got our clients their own recovery. We've paid all their medical bills, and we've paid our law firm and any expenses that were related to the case. But, in total, that, the client always gets to decide whether to say yes to the settlement, right? And they say yes to the settlement because their portion of it is significant enough for them to go, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Let's do it. So
and they got their health care taken care of.
And they've got the best physical recovery that we can get them, or that the doctors really can get them. And we're not doing it. The healthcare providers are doing it, but they're sending reports to us. And those reports are important, because they tell us the progress of the client's recovery of their health. And so
let's break it down. Can we break this thing down into a fraction, so to speak? Do you settle 40% before you go to court? Just some numbers.
About 4 in 10 cases get resolved in what we call the sort of claims stage, meaning we did not officially file a lawsuit. But about 60% of the folks that we represent, we think it's better to file a lawsuit, because we believe we're going to maximize their recovery by doing so. And so, 40% we can get done before we file that lawsuit. 60% we file it because they're not being fair. They're not doing enough in the claims process. And so we're just going to take it to the next step, at least get to the starting line of the courthouse, so to speak. But it's pretty rare to go to trial, but we're not afraid to. We do it all the time. We do it every month, because we have thousands of clients, right? And so when you got thousands of clients, I just told you that every few thousand clients, you do go to the jury trial. And we will have an Amber Heard, Johnny Depp situation where a jury actually speaks and says, our client wins. And they'll tell us the amount that they win. And then from there, we'll do exactly what we did or would have done had we resolved the case earlier.
So there you have it, listeners. It's about 40-60. Doesn't mean you have to go to court, but if you're going to get a bunch of money and Angel and his team thinks that that's the case, then you will go to court, but
That's
it'll be
right.
worth your time, and
Totally.
you'll essentially get paid for that.
Way more.
And if you want to get a settlement, you got to get a lawyer.